Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make pizza. I'm sure Matthew would like pizza. Pizza's always good, no matter what time of day it is. Do we have any? Luckily, we had some pizza in the freezer to heat up. Pizza amores, bake it with love, a pizza. Had all the makings of pizza types, including pepperoni, sausage, mushrooms, and extra cheese. Just top it, bake it, and serve. I'd have to get more later. I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separating into different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food in my hand to my room and eat. Maybe I could go out today while the boys focus on training. Find one of the incubi. I'm curious where Matthew set up shop. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I looked down each hall, trying to find one of the incubi wandering, so that I wouldn't have to go through each individual room finding them. I pursed my lips in irritation. Where the heck are they? I knew that I would have to search for them in each room. I quickly turned and headed back to the dining room one last time. When I arrived, I gasped. Matthew was crouched near the kitchen doorway, peering into it as if a rat had gotten loose in the pantry and he was the stalking exterminator. Matthew?
Shh.
Okay. I quickly shut my mouth and pressed my lips together in silence, confused but fearful as to why I had to be quiet. I tiptoed to Matthew, who was crouching by the entrance to the kitchen. His gaze and head moved across the side of the kitchen, still trying to find whatever he was looking for.
He's in there.
He who? What? Matthew's face was seriously fearful and intense. Who was freaking him out this much? My mind, however, instantly pinned the person down in my conclusion. Malix. There's no way. Malix? Why did he come back and why was he in my kitchen? I started to freak out, remembering the fear I had felt the first time we had met. However, I wasn't sure. Where were the others if it was Malix?
I lost sight of him, but I quickly found him and cornered him in there. I know he's in there.
Who's in there?
That fluffy killer thing.
Oh, the squirrel you gave me. How'd it get in my room? I thought I took that. Fluffy killer thing. I bit my lip, suppressing a laugh. Once I swallowed my laughter down, I let out a sigh. You mean your cute bunny doll? Am I crazy, or did that not look more like a squirrel than a bunny?
Yeah, that thing. Wait, it's not cute?
Matthew instantly regretted not whispering and covered his mouth. I could not help but giggle. What's he doing in the kitchen? Matthew turned to me with an expression of utmost seriousness. Something told me that what he said would be cute and funny, but I decided to bite my tongue gently to not laugh no matter what.
I don't know.
I failed to keep hold of myself and started to giggle again. The thought of a doll doing anything but sitting there made me giggle. Matthew tried to hush me, waving his arms frantically to me to keep quiet. Matthew, Simon's a doll. It can't do anything. Oh, we named it? I didn't even realize. Okay, Simon the squirrel / bunny?
You named him?
That was my question. Of course. Simon Tabby. Cute, isn't it? Matthew let out some sort of defeated whine before turning back to the kitchen, trying to find Simon from where he was. I placed our food on the table and looked as well. So, what's your plan of attack?
Well, I plan to make my way through the kitchen as quietly as I can, and hopefully not get stabbed.
Sounds simple. Matthew nodded in agreement before finally moving from his spot and tiptoeing into the kitchen. Ah, nice tiptoeing there, Matthew. This is very, interesting and different from the other guys so far. I stood there, unsure whether or not I should follow suit. Get out of there. Join the hunt. I didn't know why I was up for this, but I followed along. The small, adventurous side of me was very happy with my decision, but another side of me was questioning me, asking me why I did that. Matthew slowly walked through the kitchen, scanning the cupboards and surfaces with a meticulous glare. It was both amusing and slightly frightening to see how serious he could be. Do all of your toys get out of control like this?
No, it's just this one. I don't know why. All my other toys are okay.
Other toys? Matthew nodded, stopping his search to look at me.
That's what I do. Make toys. I made them for
Nice.
my mother all the time back in the Abyssal Plains. To help her cope with her position.
Aw. Do you know that I am set to inherit a toy company? Her position?
She's the fourth wife of my birth father. Each of us have a different mother, and all of them, except for Damien's, are queens. My mom, though, hates sharing, so I distracted her with toys.
That's kind of funny, actually. I didn't know what to say. A demon with multiple wives seems natural, but I guess because I was human, I felt the twinge of disgust run through my veins nonetheless. Still, it was adorable how Matthew tried to cheer his mom up with his abilities. I was then suddenly reminded of my grandfather and how he made toys all the time for kids. Matthew's power to make small toys instantly would have been so useful to my grandfather. I shook my head and began to search for Simon again. Let's keep looking for Simon. Matthew nodded before joining in. I felt like I was in a comedy mystery, looking for a child's toy instead of a murder weapon.
Come on out, creepy thing.
Its name is Simon. Matthew ignored my statement and began to slowly open the cupboard, sifting through the inside contents. I decided to follow suit, starting at the opposite end of the kitchen. Matthew, what do we do if we find him?
We stick him back in my pocket.
I looked to Matthew, waiting for him to finish replying. However, he kept his eyes to the ground, trying to answer my question and remaining in thought. I continued to search the cupboards, unsure now if this plan was going to go anywhere. Why was I even doing this? Simon Tabby was a... Come on, Angel. Toys do not just laugh evilly like that. What the... Matthew and I scanned the kitchen frantically, searching for the source of the laugh.
I knew that thing was evil!
Suddenly, everything went black.
Ah!
Who turned out the lights? I gripped to the nearby counter, not wanting to hit anything or fall in the darkness. There were no windows, so the room was almost completely pitch black. I could hear skittering across the floor like a rat rushing to escape with its cheese in mouth. I instantly jumped in fear before suddenly being pushed to the ground.
Ah! Watch out!
I felt myself hit the ground with a body over top of me. Two hands were slammed beside my head onto the tile floor, stopping the person above me from crushing me.
Hey, are you okay?
Matthew? Yeah, I am. I stared up at Matthew, letting the situation sink in. We were looking for a doll, and now we were on the ground, in a compromising position. What broke my thoughts was a flash of gold running across Matthew's eyes. I could feel heat radiate from his body, but the air was tense, and his body was almost shaky. I was wondering how this was going to escalate into kissy-kissy times. Now I know I get to thank Simon for that. Matthew, are you okay? I heard him gulp, answering my question. He wasn't okay, I could tell, but he wasn't moving. Matthew?
Sorry.
Soon a golden glow covered Matthew's eyes. I expected to feel warmth in my body from an upcoming spell, but I felt nothing. Something was wrong.
I need you to push me off.
From the sound of his voice, he was desperate to get up and off of me. Why couldn't he move, though? Then it hit me. Matthew, do you need energy?
I do. But
Matthew shut his eyes to try to hide his golden gaze from me. He didn't want to take my energy. Why? Was he ashamed to? Kiss him. If he needed energy, I mean, I'm willing to give it. Sure, why not? I gently grabbed Matthew's face and tilted his head to angle with mine, leaning in closer to him. I brought my face and lips up to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy before? When did Matthew kiss us before? I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to reappear in my body. Matthew didn't move, nor did I feel energy drain from me. I opened my eyes and saw Matthew staring wide-eyed at me, but unmoving. He was unsure of what to do, and I had silenced him in confusion. I pulled away and spoke. I want to give you some of my energy. You've used a lot of it, and I'm sure that the energy you took from me was only used for healing. Let me help you.
Mean, I don't.
Poor Matthew. He's trying so hard. Matthew, if you don't want my energy, just tell me. But I'm offering it to you if you do. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Matthew wrapped an arm around my body and pulled my body tighter to his. Matthew grew a lustful gaze before bringing a hand up to cup the back of my neck. We're kissing in the darkness, but there's a spotlight on us? Before I knew it, Matthew pulled me into a gentle but passionate kiss. Heat erupted through my body as his kiss slowly and almost timidly got deeper. Matthew kept an arm around my waist while I rested my hands on his chest. The energy from my body was slowly draining in the kiss, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable and how willing I was in the situation. Still, I held no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. Matthew was full of surprises. As childish as he definitely was proving to be a man while he was kissing me. Matthew wasn't forceful, but his kiss was deep and passionate, and it felt almost magical. It was how I imagined the first kiss to be like, except with energy drain. Soon, though, the energy drain stopped, and Matthew gently pulled his face away to end the kiss. I stared up at him as we both panted for air. I had never kissed like that before, and I was so lost in the moment that I forgot how to breathe. Matthew moved a strand of hair from my face to behind my ear, eyes still full of desire. Matthew stared silently at me, unsure of what to say. However, I could tell that he was full, yet yearning. I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give any more. And, by the way, thank you, Simon, for not stabbing us while we're just completely forgotten about you. Keep going. I opened the opportunity, and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more, and I was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. I leaned up and kissed him again. Matthew gasped against my lips, but continued to kiss back. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bow, releasing it and following his hand off from around my neck. He moved the ribbon to his pocket before gently unbuttoning the top 2 buttons of my blouse. The desire in my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran kisses from my lips down to my exposed neck. As he began to ravage my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back and let a pleasureful sigh escape my lips. Matthew was ruthless in his passionate kisses on my skin. Matthew didn't stop touching and kissing me, making more moans and gasps rush out of my mouth into the open air. He may have been full, but he was as hot as I was. I couldn't even comprehend how much time we spent making out. I was lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. His touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything at that moment, even as he lowered his kisses down my chest to just above my bra. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about Matthew intrigued me immensely, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, seeing the ceiling start to spin almost wildly. I gripped to Matthew's shoulders, trying to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, adjusting to the sight around me. I felt familiar silks underneath me, letting me know that I was in my bed. Pardon me? I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently in healing. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing happened between me and Matthew. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept on. It was tied around Simon Tabby in a nice bow with a small note attached to it. I thought you were terrified of the thing and thought it was going to stab us both. Why would you have it watch over me? Anyway, I gently slit the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
I'm really, really, really sorry. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Please forgive me.
Aw, Matthew. I stared at the note, letting a small smile grace my lips. He went too far. I enjoyed it a lot. It was cute, though, to imagine him thanking me for something we both did and enjoyed. I brought the note to chest, letting the memories of our meeting flood my mind. I indulged myself too, Matthew. I looked at the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes. 4 hours of being knocked out. And I still feel tired. It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. The remainder of the night passed by surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that, because I never ended up having my pizza. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still, I felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the previous rough nights I had. I felt good. I drifted to sleep and woke up almost flawlessly that next morning. No grogginess, no aches, perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I got that much good sleep? I looked at my alarm clock. I woke up 10 minutes before my alarm. Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Karma owed me some luck. After all I had gone through in merely a handful of days, I deserved to get some good luck. Ecstatic for the day ahead, I turned off my alarms before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Huh? Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
I smiled. My friends were the best. I couldn't drive yet, and I didn't have a car, so it was awesome that my friends would let me carpool. I checked the time. 6:30. Perfect. I can eat some breakfast before they come. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs towards the kitchen. As I entered the dining room, I saw a plate with eggs, toast, and bacon sitting on the table. A fresh steaming cup of coffee sat next to the plate with the sugar and creamer on the side. I walked to the table and couldn't believe what I was seeing. Who made this? As I spoke aloud, a small red note caught my attention. Have a good day. Yours. My heart skipped a beat as I finished. I could tell it was from one of the boys. Maybe it was from him? I smiled before putting the note in my bag and eating up. The food was so delicious, I devoured every amazing bite. I looked at the time again. Time to go. Oh yes, now we get to hear what Matthew's true name is. I quickly rushed to the door, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't wanting to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. Before I could reach the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see Matthew, who was holding my hand back with a concerned frown on his face.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't Matthew. I want you to know my real name. If something were to happen.
Thank goodness you and the guys have such amazing sense of timing. Because I really need it later this afternoon. His true name? What did he mean? Why was he telling me this now? Matthew gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear.
My name is Zekeru.
Zekeru. Zeberu? Zekeru. As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something in my head would make sure I would never forget it. Matthew pulled away and smiled at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you are in any danger, call my name. I promise that I'll come and help you.
I stared up at Matthew, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. Matthew smiled before releasing my hand and heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. And right on cue, Naomi drove up to the gates with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out the door and we headed to school, talking about the homework in the coming day. Okay, we'll skip a bit. I'm just gonna stand up and walk away this time. No. Oh, wait. No. Okay. That's a little too far, everybody. Okay. After the Lisette incident, surprisingly, the rest of the school day went off without another incident. I went to my classes, had lunch, and was so anxious to get home that I almost skipped right through everything that happened after that. But thankfully I used my time-traveling powers. As the bell rang for school to end, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. Huh? A text? From Dad? I'll be picking you up today. Make sure you're ready to go when I get there. That's kind of a surprise. I quickly headed back to my locker and got my things before waiting for Naomi and Suzu.
Hey, are you ready to go?
Actually, my dad's picking me up.
Really? Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense.
We'll drive home together next time. Tell your dad that we've got you covered from now on.
Yeah, all right. Even while I left, something didn't seem right. My dad texted me to say this. Why was he going to pick me up? Had I done something wrong? I didn't know. I waved goodbye to Naomi and Susie before heading off to the usual spot where my dad picks me up. I took the time to listen to my music while I waited. I need to go to another Rise of the Phoenix concert. Eventually, I had played the entire album with no one showing up. What the hey? Dad's never late. Especially not this late. I quickly dialed my dad's number again, but as soon as I pressed call, it disconnected and read a signal disconnection error message. What the... No signal error? How do I not have signal? I double-checked my phone and saw all 5 bars for signal. He must be in a dead zone. Before I could finish, a group of hands grabbed at my hands, feet, and covered my mouth. I screamed into the hand over my mouth, struggling to pull away from the hands grabbing at my limbs. I felt disgusting and scary, feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Malix's prey!
The voice, which sent a fearful shiver down my spine, whispered into my ear.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
I couldn't fathom what was happening, but before I knew it, I was blindfolded and my limbs were quickly tied up. I felt myself being carried somewhere and was shoved into something that echoed the interior of a bus or a van. The doors closed and off I was taken, unsure of where I was going and why. All I knew was that I was in trouble.